All right, quick hit. The Cowboys just pulled the trigger on Logan Wilson from the Cincinnati Bengals, and the price was a single seventh-round pick. That's the headline you need. Veteran middle linebacker. One late pick in return. A very low-risk move on paper. If you want the official confirmation, the team announced the acquisition, and multiple outlets reported the details. So this isn't just chatter. It's done. Let me break the money piece down so you understand why the Cowboys could make this move with almost no drama. For the rest of this year, he's cheap in cash terms relative to most mid-season pickups, and he's under contract into 2026 and 2027 at figures that aren't crippling if Dallas decides to keep him. There's non-guaranteed money in those years that gives the Cowboys options if he doesn't bounce back. That contract control is exactly why teams trade for guys like this. You get a veteran with a proven track record and the ability to evaluate him more than just for a few weeks. My immediate reaction? This feels like a pragmatic move. You're not mortgaging the future, you're not giving up premium assets, and you're addressing a real need. The middle of the defense has looked shaky, and leadership in the linebacker room matters. Now, that doesn't mean it's a guaranteed win. Wilson has been productive in earlier seasons, but this year hasn't gone smoothly, including a benching situation that led to trade whispers earlier on. Still, for a seventh, I'll take a chance on the veteran and see what the coaches can get out of him. If you agree, hit like right now. That helps the video. And if you're not yet subscribed, consider doing that too. We're pushing for 16,000 subs, and every new subscriber really helps us cover moves like this faster. Before you start writing this off as just a body, think about the upside. Wilson's been a tackling machine and a reliable run defender in the past, and sometimes a change of scenery plus a better defensive ecosystem makes a player look like himself again. If he can even get back to 80–90% of his prior level, that's a tangible upgrade over what's been rotating through that spot. But on the flip side, if his coverage is still a liability, or he's truly lost a step, the Cowboys still get to cut bait later without having sacrificed anything meaningful. That's the beauty of the low cost here. Upside with an easy out. Quick interaction. I want you to grade this one in the comments. A, B, C, D, or F, and type one word explaining why. I'll read your best takes out loud on the next video. Also, drop a quick yes or no in the pinned poll. Would you have made this trade today? Your votes matter for the community, and I'll use them to shape follow-ups, like a tape breakdown if you want one. When you're ready, hit that comment, smash the like, and if you're in, say start or rotate. I'll tally opinions before the next chapter. Logan Wilson is a proven, high-effort linebacker who made his name in Cincinnati as a tackle machine and a leader in the middle of that defense. He's the kind of guy who fills gaps, cleans up run plays, and has produced strong tackle totals over multiple seasons. His career numbers and history of production show he can be a reliable taker and play finisher. That said, the story this season included a clear reduction in snaps and a benching that led to trade requests. Wilson wasn't playing like the every-down starter he had been earlier in his career, and that played a major role in Cincinnati's willingness to move him. The trade request and the Bengals' choice to give more reps to younger linebackers created the opportunity Dallas pounced on. Contract-wise, this is why the move makes sense as a try-and-see pickup. Wilson signed an extension that gives the Cowboys control into the next 2 seasons without immediately forcing Dallas into a heavy, guaranteed commitment. The team can evaluate him without having given up anything significant in draft capital. The cash hit for the rest of this year is manageable, and the future money contains options if things don't pan out. That combination of short-term affordability plus low to moderate future commitment is exactly the profile you want when you pay a single 7th-round pick for a veteran. Now let's talk traits, what he brings and what to worry about. Strengths: instincts versus the run, wrap-up tackling, and leadership voice in the linebacker room. Those are tangible upgrades, especially if you felt the Cowboys lacked physicality and midfield tackling discipline. Weaknesses: coverage speed and a possible lost half-step from his peak. Concerns that showed up in reduced snaps and the benching this season. If you're the kind of fan who prioritizes run defense and on-field communication, this pickup can feel comforting. If you want lockdown coverage from your ILB on 3rd and long, this isn't necessarily the silver bullet. Quick interaction. I want one word from you in the comments. What single trait do you want Logan Wilson to bring to this team? Type leadership, tackles, coverage, or intangibles. One word only. Also, if you haven't yet, hit subscribe to help push us towards 16,000 subscribers so we can keep rolling out fast trade reaction videos and film breakdowns. When you drop that one word, I'll read the best replies in the next clip and use them to shape the tape breakdown if enough of you want it. All right, now that we know who Logan Wilson is, let's talk about what his arrival actually means for this Cowboys defense right now. Because, let's be honest, this move isn't just about adding another name to the depth chart, it's about trying to fix something that's been broken in the middle of the field for weeks. The Cowboys' linebacker group has been stretched thin and inconsistent. Kenneth Murray has struggled with run fits and reaction time, and that's been obvious on film. So the arrival of Wilson immediately gives Dallas a more instinctive, experienced player in that role. He's not Micah Parsons-level athletic, but he doesn't need to be. He just has to stabilize the middle and allow the rest of the defense to play faster. And that's where I think this move quietly changes the dynamic. Wilson can step in as a traditional middle linebacker, freeing up Damone Clark to move around a bit more, and even giving Matt Eberflus more flexibility in his sub-packages. Think about how often you've seen the Cowboys gashed by simple inside zones or short crossers. That's where Wilson's experience diagnosing plays comes in. He's seen a lot of football. He knows how to anticipate blocking angles, and that's a massive upgrade when your defensive line has been inconsistent in keeping gaps clean. But here's the interesting part. To make this move official, the Cowboys will have to open up a roster spot. That means someone's about to be cut, placed on IR, or moved via another minor transaction. The most logical names floating around right now are depth players like Ajani Cornelius, or possibly someone from the back end of the rotation who hasn't contributed much this year. It's part of the business, but it'll be worth watching closely. Now, from a coaching perspective, this is a great reset move. You're bringing in a guy who was benched in Cincinnati, but still graded out by most analysts as their best linebacker even in a down year. That says something. It suggests that the benching was as much about internal politics and roster direction as it was about performance. In a new environment, especially one with a more disciplined front seven, Wilson might look like a completely different player. And if that happens, this defense gets stronger overnight. What I like most is that you're not relying on him to be a superstar. He doesn't have to fix everything. He just has to bring stability. You add his communication, his tackling, and his range in short zones, and suddenly your linebacking core looks a lot more competent heading into tougher matchups. Let's get interactive here. Do you think Logan Wilson makes the Cowboys better right now? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments. I'll tally it in the community tab later. And for fun, predict his stat line. How many tackles do you think he ends this season with? I'll read the most realistic predictions in the next video. If you're enjoying these updates and want to see how this trade shakes up the rotation once the team officially announces the roster move, make sure to subscribe right now. Every new sub helps us reach 16,000 and keeps these breakdowns rolling as soon as the news hits. All right, in the next part, we're going to go a little deeper into the how. How exactly does Wilson fit into Matt Eberflus's system? What kind of snaps is he going to play? And how will the Cowboys manage that linebacker rotation going forward? That's coming up next. So, let's dive deeper into how Logan Wilson actually fits within Matt Eberflus's defensive system, and why this could quietly become one of the smartest moves the Cowboys have made all year. The first thing you need to know about Eberflus's approach is that it thrives on discipline, communication, and adaptability. Three things Wilson has built his reputation on. This isn't a scheme that demands blazing speed from linebackers on every snap. It's about reading, reacting, and positioning yourself so the defensive front stays gap sound. Wilson fits that mold perfectly. He's an old-school linebacker who plays with his eyes, not just his legs. Now, in this defense, Wilson will likely operate as the Mike linebacker, the centerpiece of the second level. His responsibilities will center around calling adjustments pre-snap, setting the alignment, and being that communicator between the defensive line and secondary. That's something Kenneth Murray struggled with, and it's one of the reasons the Cowboys' defense occasionally looked disorganized, especially against hurry-up offenses. Wilson brings a calm presence there. Where Wilson might need help, though, is in coverage situations. Eberflus can get creative with that, using Damone Clark or even Shamar James on more passing downs, while keeping Wilson in base or short yardage packages where his instincts shine. That rotation helps protect Wilson from being isolated in space and lets the defense lean into his strengths as a downhill tackler. If you remember Eberflus's earlier Colts defenses, he often used similar split responsibilities, letting one linebacker clean up the run while another took on coverage responsibilities. That's probably what we'll see here. Cap-wise, the Cowboys are in a very favorable spot. Wilson's current contract includes team control into 2026 and 2027, but with no guaranteed money beyond this season, it's all flexibility. If he produces, you've got a mid-level veteran on a friendly deal who can anchor your linebacker core for the next couple of years. If he doesn't, you move on. No dead cap hit that ruins future moves. That's exactly how a good front office manages roster depth. And don't underestimate the culture impact either. The Cowboys' defense has needed an experienced communicator since the loss of Leighton Vander Esch. Parsons and Clark are dynamic, but leadership in the middle matters. Someone who can anticipate what's coming and adjust the front accordingly. That's what Eberflus gets now. You're not just improving your physical play, you're upgrading your football IQ in the middle of the field. So here's the real question for you. If you were running the defense, would you start Logan Wilson right away or ease him in through rotation? Type start or rotate in the comments right now. I want to see where the fan base stands, because that's exactly the conversation happening in the locker room and coaching offices right now. Also, if you're liking how this trade is shaping up and want to see how Eberflus might adjust his formations around Wilson, make sure you're subscribed. We're almost at 16,000 subscribers, and your click really does help get these breakdowns in front of more Cowboy fans who live for this kind of detail. Up next, we'll close things out with the final verdict: how to grade this trade overall, what to watch for in Wilson's first few games as a Cowboy, and how fans across the league are reacting to the move. All right, let's wrap this up with what really matters: the verdict, the expectations, and the reaction from fans around the league. When you look at this trade as a whole, it checks every box you'd want from a mid-season move. It's low cost, fills an immediate need, and gives the team an evaluation window for a veteran who still has something left in the tank. Dallas sent out a 7th-round pick, basically a lottery ticket that rarely turns into an impact player, and brought in someone who's already proven he can play at a starter level in the NFL. From a front office perspective, that's about as efficient as it gets. The biggest positive here is stability. The Cowboys haven't been able to count on consistent linebacker play, and Wilson instantly raises the floor of that unit. Even if he doesn't return to his peak form, his tackling and communication alone should make this defense cleaner. And if he does bounce back, if the system and change of scenery help him regain that burst, then Dallas just landed a starting-caliber linebacker for basically nothing. That's a huge potential win, heading into the final stretch of the season. The flip side? Well, the concerns are fair. Wilson was benched in Cincinnati, and it's possible his coverage issues remain a problem. But remember, defensive play is an ecosystem. When the guys next to you are out of position, or the front isn't keeping gaps contained, your own game starts to look worse. Moving into a more structured and talent-rich environment, with Eberflus coaching and a front led by Parsons, could easily let Wilson look sharper than he did in Cincinnati. So how should you grade the trade? Personally, I'd give it an A-. The risk is almost non-existent, the potential reward is real, and it shows that Jerry Jones is at least paying attention to the defensive needs fans have been shouting about. Even if it doesn't change the entire season, this is a smart, responsible move. But I want to know what you think. Drop your letter grade down below, A, B, C, D, or F, and explain it in one quick sentence. I'll read the best comments in the next upload. Looking ahead, the next few games will tell us a lot about whether this trade pays off. Watch for 3 things: his snap count in the first week, whether the Cowboys' run defense looks tighter between the tackles, and how he communicates pre-snap. If you start seeing less confusion and better alignment, that's the Logan Wilson effect showing up. And as always, if you want more breakdowns like this, if you want me to dive into his first film as a Cowboy, chart his tackles, and show how Eberflus is using him, then make sure to subscribe right now. We're pushing for 16,000 subscribers, and your support really helps us keep doing these deep dives and quick reaction videos as soon as the news hits. So, what's your one-word reaction to this trade? Drop it below. Upgrade, meh, steal, whatever you're feeling. Because whether this ends up being a season changer or just a smart depth move, one thing's for sure: the Cowboys got better today, and they did it without giving up a thing that hurts tomorrow.